President Trump is launching new attacks on the judicial system and going after judges who have issued dozens of orders blocking his agenda.
If you look at the founders, the president had certain powers, and you have your three groups, and they all had supposed to be pretty equal powers. But you can't have a judge in Boston running foreign policy in places all over the country because he's got a liberal bent or he's a radical left person. That's what the executive branch is for.
The president also lashed out at an unlikely target, conservative legal activist Leonard Leo. The former chair of the Federalist Society was a Trump confidant who helped shape his first-term judicial picks. Trump wrote on Truth Social Friday, "They were under the thumb of a real sleazebag named Leonard Leo, a bad person. I am so disappointed in the Federalist Society because of the bad advice they gave me on numerous judicial nominations." Back with us is James Sample. Thanks for sticking around. So what's going on here with this about face?
It is a remarkable thing to see Donald Trump go after Leonard Leo. You know, if you think about the Trump administration going forward, if you think about the legacy in advance, the most enduring legacy of Donald Trump and his two administrations is going to be a product of Leonard Leo and Mitch McConnell, which is to say it is going to be the Supreme Court of the United States and the rightward turn that it has already taken, and the lower federal courts that have already moved significantly and will surely continue to move significantly. You know, they had a little bit of a falling out post-2020 to start with, but Leonard Leo has long been the establishment figure in Washington, D.C. when it comes to judicial nominations and judicial politics.
And there's the issue, right? Anything establishment has to go. I'm not exactly sure about the particulars of the picks and stuff like that he made. But obviously, in looking at the decisions that have been coming down, some of them have been from Trump-appointed judges and things of that nature. So, listen, it's not to say that just because a judge doesn't side with your side, you know, it may, as long as they're upholding the merit of the law. The merits of the law is what is utmost important. You don't want somebody to just rubber stamp what it is you're doing just because you're down with them or you appointed them or stuff like that. However, for you to look at what's going on now and not see the judicial, the federal judiciary going after Trump and trying to stifle his actions. I mean, essentially what they're trying to do is they know a lot of these things are not going to pass. They're just trying to run the clock out. They're trying to eat up some time. It's like they don't want to get blown out by excess number of points. So when they have the ball in their court, they're just trying to eat up the clock. At least to me, that's what it seems like is going on. It seems like they understand that a lot of these things are going to get overturned, and either with the Supreme Court or other appellate courts. However, it stymies the progress. It stymies what's going on. And if it was a normal amount of decisions, then, you know, we can kind of all see that it's part and parcel when you're shaking things up. However, it's way out of the realm of being normal. And again, you know, Trump is doing certain things that are way out of the realm of being normal. So I can understand that. I could have understood, you know, an uptick, but to the degree that we're seeing now is absolutely ridiculous.
The notion that Trump is distancing himself from the Federalist Society is a populist play for sure. It is an anti-establishment, anti-elitist play, but it is also a play that distances him from one of the most effective allies, an ally that, frankly, many on the left resent because he's been so successful. Leonard Leo has been a force. It may not be a name known to the average American. He's been a force of nature in reshaping the judiciary. He's a powerful, powerful player. I suspect that this is Donald Trump playing the mean card before he eventually brings him back into the fold.
Well, Trump has been calling the Federalist Society picks, whom Trump then nominated for the bench, things like radical liberal judges and what, you know, they're all Marxists, things like that. It seems like what Trump wants is just judges who will agree with him.
Loyal to him.
Loyal to him. And how how possible is it?
And I mean, isn't that what the left wants also? So, I mean, I can even get behind what she's saying in this scenario, but then to turn around and say that that's not what the other side is also looking for is ridiculous, right? So, at the very least, let's be honest with each other and say that your side wants the same thing.
for him to put those judges in place. He still has the opportunity, obviously, to appoint new or to nominate new judges. Would Congress go along with that?
I suspect this Congress, this Senate, for now, probably will go along with that. He's also cut the ABA out of the process just this week. The way I think about this in terms, Donald Trump is on an extraordinary losing streak in the courts. Right now, the courts are the thing that is holding up democracy in a good way. But if you think,
I don't know what he's talking about, but here's what you guys have to understand is that this is what the left thinks, right? That the courts are holding up democracy. That Trump is, writing things down, executive orders, passing them. Court is turning around and just stopping these, full stop, and not allowing the process to go on. I think he's completely incorrect in saying that Trump is not winning a lot of these things. What is essentially happening is a higher court is putting essentially a stay on the lower court's decision, allowing the Trump administration to continue, but saying that it needs to be expedited to either Supreme Court or another legislative body that can carry out a final ruling. So, again, this is MSNBC. I put it on and process it because it's kind of what we need to do. We need to understand what their arguments are. We need to understand what they're saying and understand together like what the other side is talking about, what their propaganda is, because we have propaganda too. Let's be real, right? When we put on Fox News, that's propaganda. Sorry, but it is. It's just propaganda that we agree with a little bit more than the other side does. So it's very important to digest this stuff, to take it in, listen to what their arguments are, and see if you can steel man an argument against what they're saying.
think about this. I don't know if anyone at the table is a baseball fan. The Chicago White Sox lost 121 games last year. Ask yourself this question. Does anybody here think it was because the umpires went rogue?
Right.
It was because they were a really, really bad baseball team. Donald Trump keeps losing in court. Why? Because he's really bad at the law and isn't even particularly interested in complying with the law.
And is firing all of the lawyers who advise him about what the law actually
absolutely
is.
Stephen Miller can talk about a judicial coup. The reality is, if you exceed your authority time and again, this is an individual, the volume of executive orders and the scope of those executive orders. He's not just trying to get around Congress and circumvent the bicameralism and presentment process. He's trying to amend the Constitution. He's trying to change the 14th Amendment's birthright citizenship provision via executive order. So if you overreach and you overreach and you overreach and you start losing in the courts a lot, the courts start to look like the enemy. It might be a better idea to look in the mirror.
You brought up Stephen Miller, and I just want to play you this soundbite really quickly from Stephen Miller on CNN on Friday. Take a listen.
Is the sole head of the executive branch. She's the only officer in the entire government that's elected by the entire American people. Democracy cannot function. In fact, democracy does not exist at all if each action the president takes, foreign policy, diplomatic, military, national security, has to be individually approved by 700 district court judges. That's democracy. So if there's 15 communist crazy judges on the court, that each of them as a team working together can block and freeze each and every executive action.
Your reaction to those comments, they're threatening, right? It's very ominous as to what this administration wants to do to the judiciary. They want a purity test. They certainly don't mind when judges affirm their positions. They just don't like the ones that disagree with them.
It's purely results-oriented, Eamon. You phrased that extraordinarily well. You know, Steve Bannon has a piece on MSNBC.com from just this week reflecting on that argument. He says, the argument reflects a childlike logic. Trump won a Democratic election. Everyone here can concede that. So today, the president's will is to defy democracy. Yes, the president does represent a significant.
He's not. How is he defying democracy? He's issuing an executive order, whatever that is. Someone in the court is then saying, no, you can't do that. And then it gets played out in the court. So, you know, if you don't try, right? If you don't push the bound, the limits of what your ability is as an executive, then how do you know the real limits, right? The courts are going to push back. That's fine. But we have to have a system in place that can adjudicate these things quickly and in a more timely manner. I mean, he's rocking and rolling on these executive orders, trying to get everything done. And everything keeps getting shut down. Everything keeps getting blocked. Everything keeps getting pushed back from time and time again from you're seeing the same judges from the same districts overall. You know, when the tariffs got shut down for a little bit, there was a Trump appointee it was a 3-panel court decision, 3 judges. There was a Trump appointee there, or he was a, I don't know if he was a Trump appointee, but he was he was appointed by a Republican president. So time and time again, you see these things being shut down, and the court, there's a process. It just needs to be expedited. You know, they're going to say that he's, you know, stepping all over the Constitution and all this stuff. We got to take that in, and we got to spit out what it is that we're saying, that he's doing what we wanted him to do. The Congress is never going to get it done. Congress is not moving. Congress is doing nothing, right? They're focusing on this one big bill. Great. Where have you been with all the other stuff? Where, you haven't all the Doge cuts. You know, I haven't seen any of those go in to be codified. They're literally doing absolutely nothing. Congress is the one that we should be having the issue with.
Significant democratic process, a significant democratic victory. Absolutely. The judges in the United States of America are not only are they not elected, which is by design at the federal level, they are responsible to stand up for a different constituency, even if it's an unpopular constituency at times, which is to say, standing up for the Constitution, standing up for the rule of law. That is actually the system that we set up.
All right. So that's what the other side listens to. And again, if you guys have probably already left, but if you're still here, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. Give me a like if you like it. Comment if you want to discuss the topics at hand or any other topic. I'll talk to you about anything. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming out. We'll see you again in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.